Hey everyone, how are you doing? So as I briefly mentioned in my first video, a year ago I decided to quit my job to go freelancing, and it was terrifying, not only because I was leaving my permanent job at a great company, but because I had to start on my own and really figure out what I wanted to be doing. And although it's been a challenging year, the fact is that I haven't stopped working and it hasn't been that bad. But what I know for sure is there are some things that I've learned that I would like to share with you. Now, these things are very personal. They apply to me because that's what I've been living for the last 12 months. But I thought there are some bits there that might be useful for you if you find yourself in that situation or if you're thinking about going freelancing. The first learning of this year has been learning to say no. And I know, it sounds like a cliche, but it's really empowering. The first time that I had to say no to a client, I thought that was the end of the world, that I was closing that door forever, I wouldn't work with that client ever again, and they wouldn't even get in touch with me anymore. But that's not really true. When you're saying no to someone, you're not closing that door, you're saying no to that project, not to that client forever, and you're not going to work with them anymore. It's just for that specific moment. It might be because you are already working in another thing or with another client. It might be because at that time you need to take a break, or it might be just because you want to say no, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not saying that you should say no to everything or yes to everything, but really consider the amount of work that you have at that time, the client that's sending the proposal. Consider how you feel at that moment if you really want to take on that project. If you feel like saying no, say no. And I can assure you, it is very empowering. You feel much confident when you approach a job because you know you have the freedom to say no, and that's absolutely fine. The second major learning for me this year has been to get comfortable with numbers, not only in terms of bookkeeping and invoicing, which is super important if you want to go freelance to know a bit about it, but also to know how much I'm worth. I remember the first jobs that I took and they asked for a daily rate, and every time I would send an email with that price, just those numbers there, I would be so scared of hitting send, so nervous about getting the reply because I thought that they would say no every single time. But there's a point where you just need to give yourself that confidence that you're asking for a price that's what you cost if they want to hire you. Of course, you need to do some research in terms of not asking too much or too little, and see how the market in your specific skill or area works, or how much are other people asking. But if you feel confident about that number, you should send it without worrying too much. In terms of bookkeeping and invoicing, obviously it's something that you want to go freelancing, you want to work on your own. You need to learn a bit about it. You need to learn what are you paying, how taxes work, or how to set up everything. But luckily for you, there are people who do that for a living. So if you're really scared about doing all of that, just get an accountant and let them sort it for you. And finally, the third learning, and it has been the main one for me, has been learning to live with the uncertainty. Now, when you're a freelance, you don't really know if you'll have work the next month or the next week or tomorrow. So there's a sense of not knowing what your future will look like. You don't know the type of projects that you will have. You don't know how to follow your career path if you have one, or how to keep fulfilling your skills. And that can be terrifying. At least it was for me. When I started this a year ago, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had been trying so many things. I was very scared because my main struggle was with myself, with deciding what I wanted to do. The good thing is that by doing projects and working with different clients, I've been able to define a bit more what that is, what I want to do, so that now when I look for a project, I know what I'm looking for, and my portfolio demonstrates that I can do it, so that's great. But there is that point of, okay, I don't know what I'm going to be doing next month. This contract finishes next week. I need to find something for the following week. What should I do? I need to take a break. I'm not going to get that paid. There is a lot of uncertainty that you have to deal with. If that's something that you feel you can't deal with, but you still want to go freelancing, I suggest you get in touch with recruiters that they can help you find projects if you get stuck or if you don't have anything to do. And at the same time, something that's been really helpful for me has been to set up some sort of network of companies and clients that I can get in touch with if I don't have any project coming soon. I can get in touch with them, let them know that I'm available, and they might have something for me to do. So that's great. Usually big companies or agencies or studios have something, and they are always on the look for freelancers, so you just need to ask. If what you worry about is money, something that has worked for me is to create a 5-6 months buffer, so that I know that if in the next 6 months I don't have any work, I'll have like a safety net that will cover me for that time, so that I don't have to worry about getting paid or the financial side. Now, these learnings are very specific to me, as I said, because they are things that I've learned in this last 12 months. They might be useful for you, and I think they can be the focus of a specific video because they're massive and I could be talking about each one of them for ages. Overall, I would say empower yourself. You're a freelance, you are the skill, you are the talent, so you don't have to feel ashamed of asking for a prize or saying no to a project. You just have to deal with that uncertainty and feel confident in your position.